Have you ever wondered what your life might be like if you just had less stuff? This week's episode is all about minimalism, what it is, what it isn't, and how it can work for you. Plus, I have a free offer that I know you're just going to love. Are you ready to jump in? Let's do this. If you've never heard of minimalism, let me first begin by telling you what it's not. It's not living like a monk in an empty room on nothing but nuts and water. It's simply living with more of the things that are useful and meaningful. Think your favorite mug that keeps your coffee hot for hours, or that favorite sweater of yours. And less of the stuff that isn't useful, like clutter. Boxes of junk you cared about once but haven't thought of since you boxed up for your first big move 3 apartments ago. Maybe you're already familiar with minimalism. You've read a book or watched that documentary, but you've never really tried it out for yourself for one reason or another. I have said it before and I will say it again. I am not exactly the neatest person, but clutter stresses me out. Having more stuff than I can keep organized has been a fatal flaw that has made me miserable for years. Before my then boyfriend, now husband, moved in, I gutted my apartment, getting rid of clothes and books and all sorts of nonsense I'd accumulated over the years. And man, did it feel good. Until moving day, when Jason's stuff arrived, and I realized he had more stuff than I had made space for. He is a collector. When I discovered minimalism, I hit upon the minimalism game, which is a fun little challenge you do over the course of a month. On the first day, you find one thing and you throw it out or you donate it. On the second day, you find 2, and the third day, 3. You get the idea. At the end of the 30-day month, you jettisoned 465 unneeded items from your life. And I did it over the course of a weekend. A whole set of encyclopedia, an embarrassing amount of clothes, bookcases full of magazines. Ugh, why? It wasn't even hard, and so I started on the second month, and then I did a third. And here's the terrifying truth. It never got hard. In fact, it was a lot of fun. Dare I say, addicting. I stopped after 3 months because the holidays had arrived, but also I was secretly afraid I would go too far and toss something I would later realize I actually needed or wanted. Like my high school diploma that I rescued from a box of stuff I hadn't opened in years, so surely nothing important could possibly be in there. Okay, so a dumb piece of paper probably isn't actually important in the big grand scheme of things, but I'm kind of glad it isn't mildewing in a landfill at the moment. For me, I just don't want to have to look at, store, or maneuver around a bunch of stuff that I don't need. It would be so liberating to think that I could put everything that I own into 2 suitcases and walk off into the sunset whenever I wanted. Not that I'm at that point. Far from it. But I am working up to it. And I'm not saying that you, or my husband for that matter, should adopt a totally minimalist lifestyle. But I do think that you could benefit from adapting some of the tenets of minimalism to your life. There are 3 things. Is it useful? Is it valuable? Is it meaningful? Is it useful? Those old magazines I pulled out of my attic, recipes and stuff, totally useful information, but not if I never look at them. I use my phone, and I'm betting you do too, so I just tossed them. At one point, I moved them out of my apartment and into my new house. That was 2013. 2013 Aria didn't have a smartphone. 2017 Aria, who carries the Great Library of Atlantis and funny pet videos in her back pocket, does. So she doesn't need that stuff anymore. Toss it. Is it valuable? And I'm not talking about monetary value necessarily, although I do think you might want to hang on to your great-grandmother's pearls if you got them. I mean, that snowblower you use twice a year, but are extremely grateful to have when you need it. That kind of value. The things that add value to your life, even if you're not using them every single day. Is it meaningful? That outfit you brought your child home from the hospital in, homemade Mother's Day cards, and your wedding bouquet. Those tokens that you just can't seem to part with, you should totally hang on to. But I will say this. That outfit that you brought your baby home from the hospital in will feel a lot more special tucked away in the top drawer of your dresser than it will in a box with every other item of clothing your child has worn for the last decade. And you don't have to keep every piece of paper your budding artist dragged a crayon across. Curate that stuff like the family historian that you are. I have a box for each of my kids. It's a manageable amount of stuff to store, and it's awesome for pulling out to embarrass them in front of company. Which, isn't that the real reason we hang on to that stuff anyway? I wish you could see my basement right now, or my attic, or even my front hallway. It's enough to send any true minimalist to his or her bed for a week. I am not perfect, or even close to perfect, but there are pockets in my life where I strive for my version of perfection. Because having less does make me feel less stressed and less overwhelmed. It makes me more productive and more content. When I can get more done around the house, I have more time to work on my comics or hang out with my family. In short, I feel more like a woman who has her life together and less like the hot mess I actually am. Plus, someday I'm going to move out of this house and I'm not sure I want to take half this stuff with me, so there's no point in looking at it today. Are you curious and ready to try minimalism for yourself? Click on the link in the description below and get a free checklist that will help you and your inner skeptic kick the tires on this whole minimalism bandwagon and see if it works for you and your family. I've also included a link to my blog about how I tackle minimalism with kids and all of their stuff. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and leave me a comment letting me know how you feel about minimalism. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss next week's episode. We're talking all about my least favorite thing. Cooking. If you're a busy mom who hates to cook, or even a busy mom who loves to cook, you don't want to miss it. I'm going to share my tips and strategies for making meal planning easier.